Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and last night was Super Saturday, and no, it was the Super Saturday. You can't just call it Super Saturday if a bunch of countries are having semi-finals or whatever. It's only Super Saturday if a bunch of countries actually pick their song. And one of them did. Well, actually 5 of them did. The first of which being Moldova, because I am reviewing these in the order that they announced their winners. So, starting with Moldova, who, as a country, were known back in the day for specialising in the crazy, the outlandish, the spectacularly different songs at Eurovision. In recent years, they've sent comparatively more reasonable, rational songs to the contest, and, coincidence or not, their qualification record has taken a bit of a dive, which is rather sad. In Moldova's 12-year history at the contest, the only song of theirs I even slightly disliked was 2006, but a new year means a clean slate, and so Moldova have chosen to send Lidia Isac, I think I'm saying that right, and the song Falling Stars, which is in English, doesn't need me to translate it, as is the case with a lot of songs in Eurovision, it seems. So what are my initial thoughts then? Well, I watched like 2.5 national finals from this year's Super Saturday, and Moldova's wasn't one of them, so I didn't actually hear the song until this morning. And the first thing that comes to mind, funnily enough, is Kjörma from the German national final, who described their style as night drive pop. I'd describe this song in the same way, even if it's an incredibly different kind of song. It's much more energetic, it's much more upbeat and pop, but I still think of it in the same way. There's something about its synth instrumentation and its key signature that just remind me of driving, or more accurately, being driven up or down the motorway at night here in the UK, because that's a thing that happened a lot when I was a child. I suppose the reasoning there is my father likes this kind of music, and my father can drive, and we did a lot of driving back in the day because my family tends to travel a bit, and you could make the connection there. So to that end, this song almost gives me a sense of nostalgia, actually. I haven't seen how the fandom have reacted to this one, though. But, given Moldova's recent history, it wouldn't surprise me if there are people who are going to ignore this one for no real reason other than, oh, well, it's Moldova. I hope that's not the case, because I do rather like this song. But, let's be critical, let's analyse it. We'll start, as always, with the good points. Admittedly, I'm not the best qualified to talk about this, but I really like the chord resolution when she sings The Brightest Falling Stars. Like, she sets up a certain sequence of notes, and when she delivers that sequence, it sounds really satisfying. I can't quite explain it without sounding either really stupid to people who know music, or really pretentious to people who don't, but that's the general idea of what I mean. The song itself also lends itself very well to some sort of dramatic theatrical staging that, if done correctly, could really dazzle on the night in Stockholm. Note that that doesn't mean she should go gimmicky, so no stripperific police people or portable helipad like last year. She should just think rather carefully about what sort of on-stage activity would complement her song best. Besides that, for the most part, she has an impressively powerful voice, and so she's definitely capable of delivering this song in a convincing way, I believe. On top of all of this, I want to believe that I'm not the only one getting a slight nostalgia factor from this song, but in all fairness, I probably am. And perhaps that's a bad thing to praise this song for, but, I mean, well, it strikes a chord with me, so that's one reason why I like it, and if that's not one definition of a good point, then I don't know what is, clearly. Now, as for the bad points, I'm sure, what with this being Moldova, some people will be clamouring for me to get to the bad points, because there's no way it can be that good without being gimmicky or something like that. And while I disagree with that sentiment entirely, I won't deny that the song isn't perfect, but I mean, tell me something I don't know. Tell me something I've not been parroting for the past couple of reviews just because it bears repeating. Firstly, you might recall that I said her voice is powerful for the most part. In the live performance, link in the video description, as always, when she hits the high notes, in sections like The Sky is Tumbling, the notes that are higher up the scale sound weaker, probably because she's having to jump from a middle note straight to a high note with nothing in between. So it kind of detracts from the power behind her voice. It's hard to describe, really. She can still hit the notes. They just sound weaker somehow. And to be fair, higher notes are just generally harder to hit, but she can hit them, but she needs to have more power behind her voice to properly deliver them, and that was missing in her live performance. Aside from that, though, there's not too much else I can say, really, about this song. I suppose the story of the song's a little bit generic. That's kind of a weak criticism, though. I could say that her national final staging wasn't the best it could possibly be, but, I mean, that's gonna change before the actual contest as well, and it was good enough for her to win the selection process, so Yeah, I've got nothing else. That doesn't mean the song is perfect. That's just all the major-ish criticisms that I can come up with. I suppose that does mean then that her voice not quite delivering on the high notes live is such a huge criticism that it distracts me from any other flaw that the song has. Either that or the rose-tinted glasses effect is just too much for me. Either way, that's as much as I can come up with as far as negativity goes. Now, rating out of 10, this doesn't take too much thought on my part. Between its satisfying chord progression and just generally nostalgic feel, I'm more than content to slap this one with a big fat 9. It's not a 10, because her voice does need some work, and even then it's not a perfect song. But I do really like it, despite the fact that it does a little bit remind me of Glorious from 2013. However, I do fear that more or less that's how I felt about last year's Moldovan song as well. And Eduard Roman-Iuta wasn't the most well-liked of Moldovan representatives at the contest. So I don't know what to expect. But speaking of him, how does this song compare to last year? Tough call. Damn it, why are all the most recent choices so difficult to compare to their predecessors? I really, really liked I Want Your Love, but now I really like Falling Stars too. I suppose I should rule in favour of Lidia's song, because Falling Stars and I Want Your Love both have the same amount of appeal for me, but this song carries an air of nostalgia, partly due to my own childhood, whereas I Want Your Love just sounded like it came straight out of a child-friendly pop compilation album from the early 2000s. I still liked it, don't get me wrong, it's just, that sounded like it had been brought directly from the early 2000s, whereas this has a faint hint of 90s flavour styling to it. Good 90s, I hasten to add, not bad 90s, because there was a bit of both in that decade. But that 90s-ness doesn't consume the song's identity, whereas I Want Your Love sounded very Britney Spears kind of... Whereas this sounds like its own thing, and it sounds like it's from 2016. Whereas I Want Your Love, if you told me it was from 2002, I'd probably believe you, if I didn't know better. Now, will it qualify? Really hard to tell. Have I ever said anything other than that in these reviews? But going by studio version alone, I'd say it will definitely come very close. Bearing in mind that I Want Your Love came, 11th? Thereabouts? It nearly qualified, with a weak-ish live performance and lukewarm critical reception at best. Since this is a better song, it should, in theory, have a much easier time in the semis, and finish at least 6th or 7th maybe, and then qualify, then finish middle of the table-ish in the final. That said, there are two huge factors that will sway this one way or the other. Firstly, I don't know how the public feel about this song yet. I should go and check, honestly, I should have gone and checked before doing this review. But I wouldn't know where to start, and given how toxic the Eurovision fandom can be when they don't like a song, I don't think I want to know what people think about this one. Of course, you lovely people are the exception, and if you have anything you want to say about the song, please do leave me a comment. I always enjoy reading them. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. I enjoy reading those comments too, because diversity of opinion, that's what makes it a contest. But yes, if the audience love this song, then it will sail through without any trouble, no questions asked. If they decide they arbitrarily hate this one, as they do sometimes, like they did with Moldova in 2014, for instance, then of course it will struggle. And the second key factor here is her voice. She's going to need to practice hard to make sure she can definitely nail those high notes without losing any momentum by the time the contest happens, or else she will definitely struggle. Because televoters and jury members alike are horribly fickle beasts that are nigh impossible to please. But if she can't hit those high notes, then the juries are going to leave this one in the dust. And if the public don't like her for any particular reason, then of course she won't stand a chance with the public votes, so... Moldova, straddling a fine line here, but I do wish them all the best because I like it. It's got me feeling nostalgic for no particular reason. I'm a fan. I'm sure this is yet another instance of Tess liking the unpopular songs and not liking the popular ones. I don't know. Let me know how you feel, because I'm genuinely curious, but in the meantime, I will say, very good luck to you, Moldova. It's a good song, I like it. It makes me feel things, and it's also very satisfying to listen to, so, yeah, see you in Stockholm, and with any luck, the final.